Yeah, my name is Edward. They'll go by Dark Knight, the Co-Founder of Brotherhood, and you're watching Street Workout Magazine.
Street Workout Magazine.
Street Workout Magazine.
Yes.
Check it out, boy.
It just welcomes you into our inner sanctum type of thing, you know? And the name Brotherhood is actually just based on the community where the park is. Like, there were basketball tournaments and everything else in that area that they call Brotherhood. That park, and there's another park up the block called Mullally's Park, and they still call that Brotherhood tournaments. You know, everybody from that area, you say Brotherhood, they know it's Mullally Park and Yankee Stadium Park. So when they moved the park over, we wanted to keep the name strong, and that was actually Scott, Body Bar Bernhardt. That was his idea, because he was like, I know this is Brotherhood, so why don't we just keep the name Brotherhood? And we kept that. So Brotherhood, more than anything, is the community.
And both of those parks are in the Bronx, right?
Yeah, they're on either side of Yankee Stadium right now. Yeah, Mullally's is on the northern side, and Brotherhood is on the lower side, which is Macomb Dam Park. It's Brotherhood.
Yeah, that's like the park in Harlem where Beast in the Elevators. When I first went there, I was like, Colonel Young Park?
Yes,
I just knew it as like Bartender's Park. I was like, Colonel Young
that's
Park?
That's like you go to Miami South Beach, that's Barstars Park, you know?
Yeah.
Coney Island, they call that what? Bartender's Park, I guess?
Something like that? Bartender's Island.
Yeah, Bartender's Island, yeah, Center Block, yeah. So we dub it, you know?
It's that Wingate's the only one where you're like, oh, it's Wingate, it actually is Wingate Park.
Right, like Highland. When I tell people Highland, it was like, oh, so what's the name of the park? Highland.
No, it actually, yeah.
It's like, I thought they meant like, Highlanders, the movie. No, it's the park.
So I want to like switch gears and talk about competitions a little bit. And kind of maybe just talk about competitions that you yourself have been involved with. You've been a judge, you've been a competitor, you've been a, I don't know, I think you served like every role in a, so yeah, just talk, and then talk about some of the comps you've been involved with early on, right, and then maybe how you've seen competitions evolve and kind of where we're at now.
First and foremost, whole praises to Keith and Ray for the 5Bs competition. Pull-Up Park Jam. That's the longest running calisthenic competition known right now. I found out this year, right? Yeah, I found out about that competition like maybe a year or two into my whole calisthenics experience, like maybe 2000. I found out about it. And of course, like anything, it's like, yo, but it happens in Brooklyn. Oh, I ain't going to Brooklyn. And I'm like, come on, what's the big deal? But like I said, always happened on a Saturday, and I was working most of that day, so I would still go, but I would get there like 5 or 6 o'clock, so I would like see the end product of it, you know, and I was still in awe of it, and I was like, look at this turnout, you know what I mean? Like, why isn't there newspapers there? I mean, they had a little newspaper coverage here and there, but I was like, if any contest I wanted to do was that contest, right? Backtrack. The first year they had the MBXA, which is first calisthenic freestyle contest ever. Also on a Saturday, I was with Calisthenic Kings, and I was trying to get that day off because I was going to compete in that contest also. Couldn't get the day off, so it was like hit against Tech and G.I. Joe. When he was like 15, you know, cocky G.I. Joe went up there, they were mad at him. I heard the stories, but when he's a 15-year-old kid going up against, the top of the game at the point, of course he's cocky. Are you kidding me? So that competition was like the first one. The second year I was there, but I never really wanted to compete in freestyle contests because I didn't think I had enough skill level as far as tricks to really stand out. I was still learning here and there, but for the most part, I wanted to just be powerful. I wanted to be strong on the bar. I wanted everything I did to look good and clean and look powerful. So I like to do explosive moves, hand releases off the bar, stuff like that, high flying stuff. I mean, it was probably me talking myself out of it. I could have done it, and I should have, but I didn't. It wasn't my major concern at the time. So NBXA was the event at the time. Like that was that event. And you know, Bar Stars came out, they killed it, won, destroyed that event year to year. And then slowly but surely, as the overseas street workout started developing, now you have a situation where there's a guy that just learned to do 360s and all this other stuff and handstands and everything else. He's getting offered a trip overseas to compete, as opposed to, like, you know, coming to this event, paying money, winning a t-shirt, maybe a trophy, and, you know, another item here and there. They're going overseas, they're getting money. I remember Ed from Bar Stars sent me a message a while back when they had the first World Cup that he went to. And they invited a bunch of people out. And he asked me if I wanted to go because he had, I guess they gave him a certain amount of budget to go somewhere, but I couldn't get the time off, and I told him to take Powerhouse. You know, I was like, you know, at least get Powerhouse out there, because Powerhouse still to this day is one of these guys that changed the game. Like there's certain people along this entire timeline that stand out more than all others. And one of the first, it was Hit, of course Beast, you know, it was like Giant, then Beast, Zeph, Hit, and then it became pretty much them, you know, it became pretty stagnant. There were a couple new faces popping up here and there and there and there and there. And then Powerhouse was always that one unique character, like the one that nobody ever followed behind. The hand, the wrist stuff that he did, you know what I mean? I'm like, go over to Russia and show them that crazy stuff.
Oh, he was one of the first, because I mean, I haven't done it in a while, but I was a fan of his game. Like, I like doing some.
Yeah, but he would do handstands like that.
What?
You've never seen this?
No,
See, this is what I mean.
Crazy.
A lot of people don't realize, because he doesn't put out that much footage of his stuff, but he would do a handstand on the dip bar and flip his wrist and go into a handstand.
What?
This is competition. He used to do this in competitions.
That's insane.
Guy, like, but bigger than all that, I've done events, like talk to kids in schools and had Powerhouse come with me, and like he was my go-to guy all the time. It was either him or Soul. Like if I needed just that one powerful figure, I'll bring Soul. If I just wanted something to get kids' attention, which would be Soul also, but you know, I wanted that little, you know, to show off like what we really did, Powerhouse. Because this dude, 10 times out of 10 would climb on any structure and get a handstand and do a couple push-ups. No setup, no warm-up, every time, first time, fresh out the box, every single time. So these are the guys I look up to, right? So back to the timeline. So MBXA was king at the time.
Like 07, 08, something like that, I think.
Yeah. So they were the you know, they kept their momentum going, and then the Bar Stars started their events. They started doing their events in Miami, and then, you know, they would do co-events with the overseas guys and stuff like that. And then the movement started out in California. But as far as my history with competition, I never really competed in freestyle that often. I did one event in Jersey, where it was reps, and then they included a freestyle portion, and then your score was based on both, something like that. But that event was like kind of
Wait, was that the one where like Fabulous was supposed to be there?
Yes, and Funk Master Flex.
Okay, my teammate Bernie competed in that.
Bernie. See, I want to talk about Bernie. Bernie was one of my favorite guys. Like back when he first came out here, I love Bernie. Bernie's a strong dude. He's a little guy, strong. He looks like Bruce Lee. Bernie, that's my boy still to this day. I got a lot of respect for Bernie. Bernie came on the scene, and I love that. When you see that guy, you don't know who he is, and you see his skill level, you're like, what? Who the hell is this guy? That's always my favorite part of any event. That new face that comes in and kills it. Yeah, Bernie was good for that. And I appreciated Bernie for showing up and doing his thing. But yeah, that event, I think me and Doc tied for third place, which was a joke, because like the guy who won second place wasn't even supposed to place. You know, it was kind of like fixed competition, and I don't really want to talk bad about it, but I didn't like the way the whole thing played out. You know?
I've heard a couple people say that about that competition.
Yeah.
So.
And then the bad thing was I co-signed it. Like me and Doc co-signed it, matter of fact. You know, once we said that we were going to do whatever, I was like, oh yeah, sure, let's do it. Chris and Doc are doing it, why not? But I mean, an event is an event. and putting up $5,000. You think I'm not gonna sign up for it? Why not?
Yeah.
What have I got to lose? D-Real won $5,000. That's the end story. That's the end product. That story. You know, he won 5,000. You know, the other guy in second place won 2 G's. Third place didn't win a damn thing. But oh well. It was like almost like a spit in our face. Like, thanks for signing up first. Tied for third. Congratulations.
Handshake.
Yeah.
Nice job.
But then, other than that, I did the 5Bs contest for the first time. Damn, I don't remember how long ago that was. But then I think I won. Most events came in second place, like maybe dips and push-ups, and then won overall, which is always my thing. I always want to make sure I win pull-ups. That's like my big thing. I love doing pull-ups, and I always put my all into pull-ups, which is bad because I should concentrate on everything else. But
everybody's got that one thing or one or two things that they really like. So
but it's it's just my favorite thing. You know, it's not like I wouldn't even consider it my strongest point, but it's just the one thing that I would love to walk away with. Like, I've lost contests in like the fitness expo that travels around the East and West Coast. Yeah, and I would lose the pull-up contest due to little technicalities, and it would upset me, you know? So winning 5Bs was big for me because that was like my goal, my like short-term goal, to win big in 5Bs, and I did that. I did that like 2 years in a row. And then winter reps came around, won in that overall again. That's what I'm missing. The Fit Expo competitions that I travel out for in LA and Chicago and San Jose, and they added a Fort Lauderdale, which was washed out by the hurricane.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then Pull-Up Bar Jam extended out to Chicago. My boy Omari, he started like a branch out there, and we did the first contest last year, and got overall in that one also. So, you know, I primarily stick to the rep competition. I like judging, actually, and competing. Like, I've been judging a lot more, but don't dare think that I'm done competing, because if Keith at 60 still competing, I'm gonna compete until I'm 100. So I think I covered my competition background, I think.
Where do you see, the culture going? Because, I feel like you and I talked about this off camera, but there's somewhat of a division between the young blood and the old school generation. And I feel like it's nice because you're like a bridge between the two worlds, and which I think is a great thing. But I mean, do you see it for splitting more? Do you see it where do you see it going?
See, that's the thing. I do see the split, and I've always seen it. Even in, I'll tell you a crazy story. There was a competition that they had in Long Island, hosted by Sky Big Un, and he did 2 competitions, and they were great competitions. The venue was great. It was like this park. It was rounded, and everybody showed up to that contest. He had a cash prize for the competition, the whole 9 yards. But the big thing was Bar Masters Extreme against bartenders, right? To the point where before I got there, it was like almost brawl. Like they were gonna go to blows and they party ways and everything else. I walked into the park, not knowing this, went over, said, "What's up to Giant? How you doing? His whole team, hey, how you guys doing? Good luck today." Walked over, said hi to Bar Masters Extreme. "Hey man, what's going on? How you doing?" So when I walked away from them, everybody walking, "Oh man, you missed it. Oh man, they was about to go to blows, this and that, blah, 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 blah." And then Un comes up to me and was like, somebody came up to me, he was like, "Hi, you just walked in between the biggest," like was supposed war, and like was cool with all of them. Like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, I'm the peacemaker.
Yeah, but then like I see that as like a metaphor of like what I intended on being in the culture. And like, I don't care what you have against this person. That's between you and that person. But as long as me and you ain't have no problem, it's cool. But don't concern me with little petty issues like that. You know what I mean? All of these disputes that they have, because 90% of them can be resolved right there on the bar. It's about the bar. If it's personal issues, that's your business. But if I'm better than you, you better than me, prove it.
Let's get on the bar.
Yeah, just prove it. But as far as the the direction this is going, you got to understand that there's a lot of young guys that their history about the ball game is so limited. But it's limited by people that they look up to or the people on their team because they haven't done their history, you know, or care to do their history. If you don't care to, that's your business, you know, that's fine. But don't think that a person like me is going to be impressed by you doing something that I've seen for the past 10, 8 years. You know what I mean? I've seen it. I've seen the person that invented it do it way better than you. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do something, do it the best possible. Don't do it sloppy, post it on Instagram and get 20, 30 likes from it and think that you're a superstar. But that's what they're becoming. You know, they get invitations to go overseas and compete in these competitions, and they're building this whole following based on stuff that everybody else is doing. You know, mind you, that's not everybody. There's a lot of people in this game that I respect to the utmost, that their skill level is off the charts, and I appreciate them today because this is why I still go to these events, and every time I go, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see the same old shit, and you see me on video, hyped as everybody else in there because this shit is still entertaining to me. You know, it's still entertaining to me. What you don't see on the camera is when these guys get injured, and they send me a message, a private message. What do I do for my shoulder? What do I do for my back? I got a pinched nerve in my neck. I think I got it from trying to do planks. I'm like, you know, now that you have it, you know, you see a move, an element that you want to learn, at least learn to do it the proper way. You know, not just brute strength. There's a way to do all this. A lot of this stuff is gymnastic movements. Yeah. You know, I appreciate a lot of these guys actually going to gymnastic gyms and learning from people who are teaching this. You know, because I'm assuming that they're teaching them the proper way to get into these things and the proper way to, you know, align their bodies and everything else and what they should really be working on, because then that makes them better athletes. And I've seen the improvement in those guys that actually do that, you know. But then there's a guy that just has raw talent. He goes out, it only lasts for so long before you get injured, and then you're sitting there like, I don't know how to get better. The same way you should have started, by doing your reps.
Build the foundation first.
Yeah, so as far as direction,